Hope for the best, plan for the worst. That's how we approached our latest gravel event.
Plan for the nastiest, muddiest, goopiest, derailer, tearing worst. I've packed for a number of bike races and events over the years, but I've never packed a stranger collection of gear than I did for this one, in part out of fear looking at photos of the Land Run 100 in muddy years and talking to buddies who had done the race.
We raced the Land Run 100. It's been around since about 2013, and in that time it's almost always been a muddy race. I think the finishing rate has been about 40%. So a lot of attrition on those Oklahoma roads.
Yeah, we talk a lot about how gravel means different things to different people depending on where you live, what type of tires you need for it. In Oklahoma, gravel can mean red clay. A lot of the roads have a high red clay content, which is beautiful. Makes for good photos, and it's almost, when it's dry, it feels almost like a running track, like a cork soft give to it, which is lovely.
So to make sure we didn't have those issues, we came prepared with Surly singulators to turn our bikes into single speeds if we needed them, which we didn't need, thankfully.
Being a gravel noob, I was grateful to have Josh there for emotional support, but also to ask, as to be a sounding board for all of my litany of questions, such as, are people going to stop in the feed zone? There's a checkpoint at 50 miles where everybody has to go through, and you could leave a drop bag of stuff. Some people had support crews there. Yeah,
like if you needed to change layers, get more water bottles. I stopped and had a Snickers. You did not. You kept going on with the lead group. So it just depends on what your goal is for the day.
Yeah, it seems like there's so many different ways you can approach these long gravel races. You can approach it as a race and take it very seriously, which is kind of my default because I'm a roadie nerd and I can't help myself.
Sure.
Or there was people who were taking it the way you probably should, which is a fun day on a bike. So people showing up on single speed fat bikes with mounts for their whiskey flasks and beer, and probably had a whole barbecue set up in there and seemed to be having a great time and enjoying the whole day out on the bike. So we were out at the Land Run in Stillwater, Oklahoma, being hosted by the crew at Vittoria Tires. They have a new Terreno Zero tire, which is basically a big fat slick with just the tiniest hint of some shoulder knobs on the side.
Yeah, just a baby bit of honeycomb going on the sides to provide a little bit of grip.
What'd you think of this tire?
I liked it. I think it's more of a tire for the gravel curious cyclist. So like, if you're a 50-50 rider, right? So you're going to spend 50% of your time on pavement and maybe venture off road here and there. I think it's good for that. If I could do the race over again, I would probably choose the Terreno Dry, simply because it has a little more tread down the center. And the conditions this year were dry. So there was kind of a bit of sand, a loose rock. So it would have helped. Those little extra bit of knob there would have helped, I think, through some of the climbs where I was kind of spinning out of it. So a little more grip would have been good.
There was also, you stopped for the Chase Lounge. The good folks at Salsa Cycles had a full-on red velvet Chase Lounge smack dead in the middle of a gravel road out in the middle of nowhere at mile 80 or something like that.
Yeah. So not on the side. They parked this couch in the middle of the course. And I think
the winner did this also.
The winner did stop.
Kudos to Matt Stevens, going full stick, but still had the spirit of gravel race enough to pull over.
Yeah, I think that was a sponsor correct move to do. Stop, and good ambassador there. You, however, did not stop.
No, I was still being a delusional roadie, thinking I'm racing. I was in there, the chase group of 8 or 9 of us behind Matt and the second place guys. There were 2 guys off the front, so I'm still taking it very seriously. I raced right past the couch, which in retrospect was the wrong move.
Well, the couch also...
I ended up getting shelled anyhow, so, Josh and I were both on Opus Spark bikes. Opus is a Canadian brand. The Spark is its adventure gravel alloy bike. I ended up with an Ultegra hydraulic bike, which I was grateful for. Big fan of Shimano Ultegra. One by is the thing all the kids are doing for gravel. It looks cool. It gives you a taut chain, which is good for it's not banging off your chainstays or your ankles, so I can appreciate that. However, I love and appreciate every one of the 22 gears, especially on a hilly course like Land Run. It was 7,000 feet of elevation, 200-foot kickers at a time. I was very happy with that. Josh took one for the team, was on a Claris 8-speed, I believe.
Yeah. I can't remember the last time I rode actually I've never ridden an 8-speed road bike before. I didn't start that long ago. So it was an experience. I will say it functioned perfectly. Shimano does a great job of trickling down tech. Shifting was good. Shifting was slower, so I couldn't really shift under power. There were less ramps and pins on the cassette. So other than that, though, it was pretty good. And neither of our bikes were stock. I had carbon wheels too, which I was very thankful for. Keep the weight a little lower. And being set up tubeless always helps.
Absolutely.
I think it's a necessity for gravel.
We had gravel saddles. Everything is gravel now. We had Cell Italia gravel saddles, which I thought was okay. It was I'm going to call it what it is. It's kind of a specialized power knockoff.
With more padding.
With a lot more padding, a thick layer of gel. Sometimes we in the media do exactly what we tell you not to do. Things like go for a 100+ mile race on gear you've never ridden once.
We do it so you don't have to. Except I didn't. I brought my own saddle from home that I've used for numerous gravel races because I was intimidated.
Yeah.
Yes. You can't talk about the Land Run 100 without mentioning Bobby and Crystal Wintle. They're the owners of District Bicycles, which is the bike shop in Stillwater, Oklahoma. There you go. And they're the reason this event is on, and Bobby's energy is infectious.
And one thing Bobby does is hug everyone.
Yes.
Which is quite impressive. So Matt Stevens finished the race first, a little over 5 hours. Another 800 people came across the line.
10 hours later, essentially.
In a 10-hour spread.
Yeah.
And he's there yelling and screaming and hugging each and every one of them. And it's that type of enthusiasm that allowed the race to exist in the first place. And then I think what has caused it to balloon up from a few people doing it the first year, like, hey, you know what we should do? Let's try this, to now 1,400 spots sell out in a matter of hours.
And there's signs along the course saying, get your Bobby hug at the end. It's a known thing now.
It's a known thing.
Yeah.
And you can't escape it. There's no opt out of the Bobby hug.
Now that you've completed your first gravel race, what did you think? What would you do differently, or what did you think of the scene and how it compares to your normal road races?
It was fantastic. It was great. It was nothing like a road race in many ways. I mean, because it was dry conditions, there was a front group that was racing for sure, and there was tactics, people attacking and countering and drafting and all this. But that was only a handful of people. There were hundreds of people there who were enjoying it. Heaven forbid you enjoy a bicycle race. The goal is to finish the thing, which, in years past, where only an average of 40% of people finish.
That's a significant goal. Yeah.
It felt like an all-together experience, not a I'm going to beat you and you're going to beat me type of thing.
Right. Bobby's energy is a huge part of this race and infectious, but that kind of scene and that camaraderie is definitely why I keep racing gravel. I think that as gravel races have grown from a couple dozen people to races like this that now have 1,000 people essentially, that you've got the people that are there to win and the people that have their own personal goals and reasons for racing. But I think the spirit of it is about the same. You've just got more people out there to get to know as you ride. And like I said, I wasn't off the front with you. I'm in my normal no man's land. So, my goals are a little differently. It's usually just meet as many people as I can and go at a reasonable pace while stopping to eat every now and again, or stopping on the couch.
Stopping for the Chase Lounge photo, yes. There's a lot of things I still need to learn about this, but I'm looking forward to doing many more. And maybe even going back to Land Run.
If it's dry.
If it's dry.